everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Dynamics GP to Dynamics 365 Business Central Migration Office Hours. My name is Katie, and I'll be the facilitator today. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question area in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll answer questions at the end. The session will be recorded and posted on our blog, as well as shared with you early next week. Now, I would like to introduce our presenter today, Tracy Santos, the practice lead for our account management team here at Encore. Tracy, I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Katie. How's everyone doing today? I cannot believe it's already the middle of December. Oh my gosh, we're almost at the end of the year. And for those of you in North America or even in Canada, it's getting cold. It was so nice. We had such a mild fall, and now we're going to go into winter, and it's getting a lot colder, that's for sure. And I just came back from vacation, and I was in southern Spain. It was so nice and warm, so I'm really appreciating those sunny days. But thank you so much for joining us today. This is our last office hours for our GP to D365 BC session for this year, but we're going to have some more obviously in the new year, continuing to work together with you to plan out your transition. And if you have any topics you'd like to explore further, please let Katie know, and I'm happy to present those in the new year. So let's get started. We're going to be talking about a couple of tools that are going to help you build your business case so you can get that budget approved for 2025 so we can start these projects. So we're going to kind of go through that today, talking about we've got a TCO calculator and we've got an ROI calculator that actually gives you a really cool PowerPoint presentation at the end of it that you can share out with all the decision makers at your organization. So it's important to understand the difference in total cost of ownership between Dynamics GP and Dynamics 365 Business Central, or D365 BC. You'll see that, people call it that, so just so you know, it's all the same thing. Let's walk through an example highlighting the differences between the two, what factors you need to consider for your business, and how we can help you review your total cost of ownership. So moving to the cloud can reduce long-term costs by eliminating maintenance and upgrade expenses, reducing hardware costs, and freeing up IT resources. With a cloud-based solution, you're always on the latest release, giving you access to continuous application enhancements. You never need to do an upgrade again because all future functionality will automatically be delivered as part of your subscription. Now, just halt it there for a second because a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want it just to automatically go and update. You have control over that. So you'll get notification letting you know that, okay, release or wave 1 of 2025 is going to get pushed out on this date. You can book the date that you want it to happen, and you can push it to your sandbox first, test everything out before it goes live. So again, it's not just like you go to bed on Friday and come in on Monday and everything's changed. You do have control over that. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. Microsoft owns its global cloud infrastructure, operates transparently, and offers a financially backed 99.9% SLA with monthly measurement periods. Azure Active Directory authentication with data isolation and encryption. Azure is composed of a globally distributed data center infrastructure supporting thousands of online services and spanning more than 100 highly secure facilities worldwide. We, meaning Microsoft, designs and manages the Azure infrastructure to meet a broad set of international and industry-specific compliance standards such as ISO 27001, HIPAA, FedRAMP, SOC 1, and SOC 2. I'm just putting that in there because sometimes, you're going to go to, the decision makers or go back to your team and they're going to say, great, well, we want to make sure that we're going with the right cloud solution provider, because again, we want to make sure that security is paramount and most important to you, of course. We want to make sure that you understand that. So that's just a snapshot there. That's some of the information you're going to get in your return on investment study, kind of a snapshot there. So again, standardizing your platform, eliminating annual enhancement plan, maintenance, and supporting business growth without adding headcount to support that. So those are some of the top ideas there when we think about TCO. So in this example, on-premise versus cloud, you want to make sure you include hard costs as well as soft cost savings. So again, we as your partner might say, okay, well, we know we can identify this, this, and this, but there might be a lot more costs that you're able to identify that you know you're going to eliminate. So again, this is just to represent, okay, what's our footprint in the cloud versus our footprint on premise. So we want to make sure we take into account infrastructure replacement costs and ongoing maintenance, dedicated resources for infrastructure, maintenance plans for software, upgrade services, planning and preparation time, disaster recovery, ISVs, technical platform costs, hardware utilities, real estate, vulnerability costs. So again, this is some stats I think we talked about in another presentation that one of the studies showed that there was elimination of $44,000 worth of third-party reporting spending over 3 years. After, this is what client reported, after migration to Business Central, they were able to leverage additional functionality and Microsoft tools such as Power BI and eliminate reliance on externally generated reports for more granular visibility into their business. They also had an avoidance of more than $40K in costs pertaining to their previous solutions, migrating from on-premises Microsoft to a non-Microsoft ERP tools, savings in the form of license fees, infrastructure reductions, as well as personnel support. So again, we've got on-premise Microsoft solutions like GP, as well as other ERPs that were on-premise and those clients moving over to Business Central. So that's just a graphic there. Now, this is something you might have seen before in some of our other presentations. This is the data that's coming out of this total cost of ownership tool. So again, you'll work with your account manager, we'll put in this information and then it spits out the results. So it's a really simple one pager that kind of shows you based on your current Dynamics GP deployment. In this example, there was 9 full use users. You could also have limited users or self-service users. So again, we want to take those into account. Your annual enhancement fees, infrastructure replacement costs, including SQL and Windows Server. How often do you replace your infrastructure? Again, we talked about ISVs and third-party software, your annual GP solution support, what's the support rate, upgrade costs, professional services, annual infrastructure, hosting and maintenance costs. I was just talking to a client a few weeks ago and they said, oh, we're going to be so happy to move off of the GP legacy solution. He goes, I'm really, the costs of hosting it are getting to be just a little bit too much. And he's like, you know, we're paying between $2,000 and $3,000 a month just for our hosting of GP. So again, that cost all goes away. So again, comparing in this example, showing that, okay, great, going to the cloud, what does that look like? And again, your particular variables are going to be different, and that's what you would work through with your account manager. In this example, we showed that there was a 5-year TCO total cost of ownership savings of $164,000. So again, when we look at that, we say, great, if we're going to go and do a project, we know we're going to have that ROI very quickly. So why should customers choose to migrate? So Dynamics GP is an older on-premise product that has limited cloud capabilities and the product roadmap and a limited product roadmap as they're out of mainstream support. And you know from our earlier get together, our earlier meeting, if I could talk, we talked about the end of life. That announcement came out. And so again, we want to make sure that we're not waiting till the last moment to go ahead and move to our cloud ERP. So let's make sure that we're on top of that. And that's part of why we're doing these sessions, is to show you what tools you have to go and build that business case. Now, I went off script, so where am I? Instead of paying for annual maintenance agreements to maintain on-premise products and an aging physical infrastructure, customers could apply that budget to move to a business management solution that allows them to adapt faster, work smarter, and perform better. What benefits do customers get in transitioning to Dynamics 365 Business Central? Well, Business Central is a cloud-first solution that lets you work smarter across finance, sales, service, project, and operation teams with built-in generative AI and machine learning capabilities. If you're running an older Dynamics on-premise solution, you will get new application features as Business Central continues to be enhanced with new features in 2 major annual releases: deep integration with Microsoft 365 Teams, and Power Platforms solutions like Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate. Add even more value. Business Central is securely deployed on Azure for greater security and compliance. So I put down on this slide some of the quantifiable benefits. So again, this is referring to when we talk about this TEI study, and this is a tool, you'll be able to get a great PowerPoint presentation out of this. As a group, there was 150 customers interviewed and surveyed. And as a collective, they found that on average, their productivity improved 12.5%. There was a composite saving of 80K annually in third-party fees and 53K on infrastructure maintenance, personnel, and upgrade fees. So those are some of the actual quantifiable benefits, and you'll be able to go through that when you go through this study with your account manager. And then the unquantifiable benefits, there are probably a whole lot of them. These are just some of them that I'm going to be reviewing here with you today. So improve business outcomes from more informed decision making. So again, we've got better access to information so we can make better decisions. There's also increased customer satisfaction because again, we can react to the business quicker. There's improved experience for your team. So on Dynamics 365 Business Central, employees are less burdened by some of the common frustrations around finance and operations, exacerbated by a disparate set of ERP tools. Integration with other Microsoft products. Interviewees cited integration with their other Microsoft solutions such as SharePoint and Power BI as additional benefits to their Business Central migrations. Increased confidence from real-time visibility. So this is referring to that decision making. For the first time, for some organizations, decision makers could view key business data, reports, and metrics in real time. Beyond productivity, this real-time view into data fosters confidence in those who need to use it. So again, an increased confidence overall in the business, which is what we're looking for. So this is a Forrester Total Economic Impact Study. So this is another tool that we have that we can use with you to help you build your business case. So it's a case study that describes the experience of carefully selected Microsoft customers. It balances perspectives from Forrester research analysts to make sure that the individual cases aren't anomalies. So again, we don't want to just say we're picking the biggest customers with the largest customer or user count. We want to make sure that they're representative of who we are as a GP community. So it's a study based on real customer experiences of Dynamics 365 Business Central. They all moved from legacy systems like GP. Most of them were on-premise GP. There was some on-premise NAV as well. And the survey and interviews, as well as feedback from other clients that are actually using Business Central. So again, they were comparing, does this make sense, this information that we were getting from these GP customers, and then when they were on Business Central. So again, validating that information. And so again, we want to make sure that this is an independent perspective. This is Forrester research. Again, they're validating that information. So it was a really, really interesting study. So again, we want to make sure we share that with you. So here are some of the key results. So on average, ROI of 265%, net present value of 729, benefit present value is 729, then the net present value was 529. So again, your report will reflect on what the information you put in and what your payback period is. So in this particular case, overall of all the 150 accounts that were interviewed and surveyed, the payback was 6 months. So again, we want to be able to validate that and say, great, let's walk you through this tool so that you can see all the benefits. And they talk a lot about that. It's those value streams that you're going to be able to leverage. So again, if we increase the employee satisfaction and their productivity goes up, and again, they have access to information, not frustrated, and no downtime, they can access the information anytime they want. Again, these are all benefits that we're going to have by moving to our cloud solutions. So here is the 3-year risk adjusted benefits. And again, talking about what people were experiencing. So again, where did the benefits come from? So again, you can also see that that improved efficiency and profitability on the sales side. So again, all of the revenue streams that you have, staff productivity, increases that staff productivity. Go through those notes. Again, so this is of the composite of all the 150 customers. Again, we're looking at those value streams. Again, it's up to us to make sure that your team takes advantage of all those value streams. And then this is just one of the pages from the study. So again, once we gather your variables, I think there's about 30 to 40 questions that we would go through and fill in that information, then come back with that. So in this example, this is an example that I went and created. So I went in and said, okay, great, here's an average GP customer, and put in my information, and then putting in what the value streams are. And you can see in this case, again, the payback period was less than 6 months. So again, you'll get, it's about a 10-page report, and that's something that you can share with your teams. So both of these tools, the total cost of ownership and the return on investment report, will assist you in building a business case at your organization and accelerate the budget approval so that you can look at doing your project. 2025 is just around the corner, so we want to make sure that we're ready to start off strong into the new year and get that project started. And the first step is obviously getting approval internally to make that move. Want to just touch on this again. I know you're probably getting tired of seeing this, but again, we've had that announcement. And if we're going to be in 2025, that 2029 is just around the corner. So again, we want to make sure that we're giving enough time to do our project. Our offers and promotions. So again, just touching on that, we've got the BC migration assessment. There's a Bridge to the Cloud 2 promotion, the business. Oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me. The Bridge to the Cloud 2 promotion, the Business Central deployment offer. We've got our accelerator program. And now we've got 2 tools to help you build your business case. You can use the TCO calculator as well as the ROI report. So again, we can do that. And I just want to make sure I'm going to read off my notes here. We talked about the assessment, so I don't think I need to touch on that. If you're not sure about the assessment, reach out to your AM and they can talk to you about that. It's a complimentary assessment that will help you, again, support building that business case. So it says, great, this is what you got in GP. What does that look like when you go to Business Central? So that's there for you too. So again, we're dedicated to your business success. That's why we're doing this, to make sure you got all the information, that you're educated. And again, we don't want to be on those legacy on-premise solutions. We want to have technology that aligns with your future. And what do you want to accomplish and what do you want to do? And AI, you're hearing more and more about AI, and we've got Copilot. There are many Copilots for Business Central. There are Microsoft 365 Copilots. Again, we want to be able to leverage all of that technology that can help us move our business forward. And again, just something I was talking with a client a couple of weeks ago, and when you look at AI tools, remember when you're using Microsoft's Copilot, that's your information, that's your data, that's your Copilot, your information, your AI. It's not shared with anyone else. So again, it's private to you as your business. Your learning is not used for someone else's learning. So just so you know that. Great. Got a screenshot there of that, what we took before. Again, just a couple of quotes. I'm sure when we've been on these other sessions, you've seen these before. So again, talking about Business Central and how much they're enjoying that. Talking about how easy it was, the ability to use all the Microsoft applications. So again, just going on there. And we're up to our question side. Now, Katie usually tells me if there's any questions, but I have a question for you. And again, I'm not sure, Katie, but you can message me privately so not everyone sees it. But I'm really curious for you people who are joining us today, what's holding you back from doing your migration from GP to Business Central? I'm very curious about that. You can email me separately, but I'm really curious because I want to help you move your business forward, and I'm curious about why people are not on these projects. So I'm just curious why we're staying on Dynamics GP on-prem when we talked about all this education. So I am very curious. But in the meantime, Katie, are there any questions?
Thanks, Tracy. We do have some questions showing up, and again, if anybody does have questions, you could enter them into the question area in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. But I'll start off with the first one here. Could you provide some specific examples of staff productivity moving from GP to D365?
Absolutely. So that's in a great source of that would be from the study. I don't have an example off the top of my head, but please we'll post that information in the follow-up to give you the specific examples. Absolutely, for sure.
Thanks, Tracy. The next one here is what departments should be part of the review of total cost of ownership?
Great question. Definitely IT. And it really depends on your deployment of GP. So for example, is it if you're not-for-profit versus a financial institution versus a manufacturing environment? Typically, you're going to want to have definitely finance obviously involved. But the questions are more around, how many employees do you have? What areas of the application do you use? Those types of questions. But that's a really good question. But I would definitely say that, if typically how we do the, not the TCO calculator, but the ROI application is we'll go through the questions. And if you don't have an answer right there, you can go to that particular department and get the answer. And then you could bring that back to us and then we can complete the report for sure. So, but good question.
Next one here is, and I think you kind of talked about this throughout, but just specifically how Encore can help your business evaluate the total cost of ownership today and moving to Business Central.
Yeah, I think, using all of those tools, I mean, taking advantage of the BC migration assessment is important. The TCO calculator is very simple. It's easy for us to put the variables in, but then you need to go away and put all your, I don't know what you would evaluate the real estate costs of all the IT equipment. I don't know how often you replace your IT equipment. So some of those variables you have to bring to the table. So again, it's something that the TCO calculator we can give you and you can fill in the information as you need, or we work together and fill it out. The ROI application, there are the questions that we would gather with you and then give you the report at the end of it. So having those two reports, it'll show you reflective of, one is very much more of, okay, great, well, I'm spending this much money now. When I move to the cloud, what does that look like? What's my budgeting over the next 5 years going to look like as far as that goes? That's very, it's very concrete. Whereas the return on investment study, it talks about great. These value streams are going to be available to you before. If you haven't used the Microsoft stack, M365 and Power Platform and all those things, here's all the things that you could benefit from. You've never used Copilot before. Okay, on average, your peers get this much benefit from it. So again, that one is a little bit more, we need to have a discussion to explain and work through with you to say, okay, here's all the value streams that you could benefit from by doing these certain things, and what areas that really shine from a Business Central perspective and the value that it brings to you. But all of those tools will show you how it's like, okay, great. The payback is less than 3 years, or the payback is less than 6 years, and and going forward, and how much money will I save over the next coming years as far as it goes to the cloud.
Thanks, Tracy. Next one I have here is how is D365 compatibility with external systems which integrate transactions and data? So for industry-specific systems that are important, how can they make sure that our post-GP system can handle that?
Yep, for sure. So again, it's very straightforward. If we have other external applications or other business line applications that sits outside of GP now, we use a tool to bring the data into GP. And again, you've got more tools even available to you on the Business Central side. So again, if you want to bring data in from other day-to-day systems that you use, that can be integrated into Business Central just like we did in GP. But it's some have out-of-the-box tools that allow you to integrate into Business Central. Other ones we would use different technologies. So it really depends on the situation, what application we want to integrate. But I don't think we've had an issue in the last 30 years as far as taking data from one place and moving into another, simply because of the way that those solutions are architected today. Again, we've got it's up in Azure, it's up in a database, just like GP was on-prem in a SQL database, and you were able to bring that information in. So, and it really depends on the complexity. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but let's say, for example, you've got a data dump and you want to bring it in. You can use Excel. I mean, that's how simple it is. You can open up Excel and integrate that into Business Central. But for example, if I've got a system that is my day-to-day application, is it a point of sale system? Is it a specific banking financial application that I then want to integrate into Business Central? And then I've used tools that are available to us to build that integration and bring that in.
Great, thanks, Tracy. Next one here I have is, how does the cost of training and support for Dynamics 365 compare to GP?
Support would be similar. From us as a partner, we have unlimited care. So again, you pay a fee per user per month and you get unlimited support. So that would be just like you have on GP. Our most service rates are the same for implementation and training. Accelerator's a little different because Accelerator's a condensed program that works more for clients that say just have GLARAP or just GLAP. When they have a larger footprint, we wouldn't use Accelerator for that. But I would say it's similar. I would say your ability to take ownership of Business Central is, I think there's a faster learning curve as far as being able to use Business Central as it would have been when you first used Dynamics GP, for sure. But costs, ongoing costs, as far as support goes, it depends on what program you're on. I don't know if I'm addressing that question correctly, but whoever's put that question out, contact me and we can talk about it further.
Great, thanks, Tracy. And we are nearing the end of this session. So I'm going to go ahead and add the link to our events page in the chat if you'd like to check out previous webinars or register for upcoming sessions. I'm also going to add a link where you can set your email preferences and opt into your email so that you can stay in the know about the upcoming events and see our latest blog articles. So both of those are in there now. Tracy, I'll let you close it out here.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Katie, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.